I had heard about it for years. 10 days of silence, away from distractions, immersed in stillness. It sounded like the perfect antidote to the whirlwind my life had been. I was full of hope, excitement, and, if I'm honest, a little fear. I made the decision to attend a Vipassana retreat months ago, in a moment of a profound sadness. Back then, my days felt heavy and I was searching for something, anything that might help me make sense of my emotions. The decision to go wasn't easy, but I also felt a pull, a need to do something radically different, to give myself space to process everything I had been carrying. Little did I know how hard it would really be. The retreat itself was in the mountains. A bed, a meditation mat, and a strict schedule. The rules were simple but strict. No speaking, no eye contact, no reading, writing, or listening to music. Men and women were kept entirely separate. Even during the brief breaks, we walked the ground like shadows, alone in our thoughts. The only communication allowed was with the teacher, if absolutely necessary, or with a manager for logistical issues. Phones were handed in at the start. It was just you, your mind, and the silence. Meals were equally minimal, 2 vegetarian meals a day, and a small piece of fruit in the evening. Surprisingly, this wasn't the hard part for me. It was the stillness, endless hours of sitting with my own mind that felt impossible. Each day started at 4 a.m. A bell would echo through the dorms, signaling the start of another 10 hours of meditation. The first 3 days were all about focusing on the breath, a way to sharpen the mind, something I used to do from time to time at home. Between sessions, we had short breaks to stretch or walk outside. But even then, the silence followed us everywhere. I started to miss the little things, conversations, laughter, even the sound of my own voice. Time slowed and the world seemed to shrink to the sound of my breath and ache in my knees. The days passed and I realized this wasn't about escaping the world. It was about facing myself. And what I found wasn't always comfortable. The first 3 days felt manageable. Silence was a strange comfort, and I found myself falling into the rhythm of the retreat. By the end of the third day, I could feel the cracks beginning to form. Day 4 was when everything changed. This was the day we began practicing Vipassana, the heart of the retreat. Vipassana is more than just sitting in silence. It's about digging deep, peeling back the layers of your mind. The technique required us to scan our bodies, observing every sensation without reacting to it. At first it seemed straightforward, but as the minutes turned into hours, the process felt unbearable. My thoughts became louder, my emotions sharper. Every unresolved memory, every buried feeling came rushing to the surface. Regrets, heartbreaks, unanswered questions. they all popped up. I wanted to push through to see what lay on the other side of this discomfort, but my mind felt relentless and my body wasn't far behind. Silence, once calming, became deafening. After 2 hours, I broke down. I left the meditation hall, tears streaming down my face. It felt like my mind was unraveling, and I had no idea how to stop it. By the 5th day, I was struggling, not just with the stillness, but with myself. I broke the silence to speak with the teacher. It was a brief conversation, but I poured out my struggles, hoping for some kind of direction. I wanted answers, anything to make the experience more bearable, but the teacher simply reminded me to observe without judgment, to let go of the need for control. It was not what I wanted to hear. I left the conversation feeling more lost than before. By the 6th day, I knew I couldn't stay. My mind felt like a storm I couldn't calm, and the thought of sitting through another meditation session felt unbearable. I made the decision. I have decided to leave. It felt like giving up, like failing. I packed my bag and left the retreat. A volunteer carried me back down to the closest city to pick up a bus. We had a small chat and I told her why I decided to be there and why I'm leaving. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. It was as if a weight had been lifted, silence finally broken. I didn't finish the retreat, but in leaving I realized that it's okay to step away when something doesn't feel right. This was not about completing the 10 days. It was about what I had learned in the days I stayed. I had been searching for peace, but what I really found was the need to be kinder to myself, to let go of the expectations I had placed on my own healing. For the first time in days, I could breathe again. I may not have finished the retreat, but in those 6 days, I took a step forward. Healing doesn't always happen in the places we plan for it. Sometimes it's the decisions we make when things don't go as expected. Healing isn't linear, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is listen to yourself. Maybe I'll try again one day, but for now, I'm taking it one step at a time, learning to carry silence with me in a way that feels right.